Another guest arriving for the gala ball is Princess Grace of Monaco.
Grace Kelly of Philadelphia and Hollywood stepped aboard the Deo Gigante from the liner Constitution, which carried her across the Atlantic. A picture queen who will become a princess greets her new subjects and is greeted by them in turn.
Grace Kelly, Her Serene Highness Princess Grace of Monaco. Grace Kelly is one of the most admired women in the world. She is forever remembered as a standard of beauty, style, and grace. Poised, reserved, supremely elegant. In short, royalty. Enjoy a look through Grace Kelly's life and her journey in becoming a princess through her precious memories. Grace Kelly grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to an athletic, affluent, and influential Irish family. She spent her childhood surrounded by her siblings. The family had 4 children. Peggy, the eldest, was the father's favorite. John Jr., the only son, was supposed to take over his father's business. Grace always stayed in the background and seemed to be a shy girl. Elizabeth Lizanne received all the parents' love as she was the youngest child. In 1940, inspired by a Russian ballet performance, Kelly began taking dance lessons as her first dream was to become a ballerina. However, she was unsuitable due to her height, but determined to follow a different path to her athletic family, she turned her dreams in a new direction. She decided she wanted to become an actress at a young age and studied acting, primarily theatre, at New York City's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Kelly's dreams of becoming an actress were met with disapproval by her father, John B. Kelly Sr. He had decidedly old-fashioned views about the vulgarity of the stage and screen, despite the success of his brothers, actor and vaudeville comedian Walter C. Kelly and George Kelly, director and playwright. She almost didn't make it into the academy, as the school had already filled all available openings. But Kelly's uncle George stepped in to urge them to accept her. After auditioning with a scene from her uncle's play, The Torchbearers, Kelly managed to secure herself a place in the prestigious academy. Following her graduation, her uncle George continued to advise and mentor Kelly throughout her acting career. She has a reputation for being ladylike and proper, and she didn't get it by sitting around. Instead, Kelly had to take lessons to rid herself of her Philadelphia accent. While at acting school, her instructors suggested she work on her voice and delivery, so she did. Kelly used a tape recorder to help herself, and as a result, her speech started hinting at a British accent, measured and well-rounded. At her father's insistence, she lived at the Barbizon Hotel for Women in Manhattan. She was hired as a model, and some of her first modeling jobs were commercials for bug spray and cigarettes. Kelly had stated that the 3 years she spent at the Barbizon Hotel were precious memories. Her fellow residents knew Kelly as an outgoing and confident individual, which was very different from how she grew up. Her mother, Margaret Mayer Kelly, stated that Kelly was the shyest family member, often overshadowed by her extroverted siblings. Throughout her adult life, Kelly was frequently described as one of the most beautiful women in the world. But she wasn't considered particularly attractive in her younger years, even after landing some work as a model.
Peekaboo Grace models. This peak brim number is supplied by a lamp. Black coolie hat.
Semesters end. Tomorrow, exams, and then vacation. It's hard, isn't it, Grace?
Her family and friends, who never thought of her as being anywhere near movie star material, were stunned when they saw her on the big screen for the first time.
Highness, it's going to be the best vacation creation has a deep slit in its sheet
Kelly's
skirt.
start in the film industry was slow. Although her films were successful,
The
her
shadow
performances
walls
were
ends,
often
and it's back
reviewed
to the
as
book.
unexciting
But cheer up,
by
Grace.
critics.
Exams end tomorrow, but dreams of romance go on forever.
Alfred Hitchcock described her early performance in High Noon as rather mousy and lacking animation. He said that it was only in her later films that she really blossomed and showed her true star quality.
I think you better go while there's still time. It's better for you, and it's better for us.
Amy,
I mean it. If you won't go with me now, I'll be on that train when it leaves here.
I've got to stay.
Why must you be so stupid, Will? Have you forgotten what he is? Have you forgotten what he's done to people? Have you forgotten that he's crazy? Don't you remember when he sat in that chair and said, "You'll never hang me, I'll come back. I'll kill you, Will Kane. I swear it."
Her performance in The Country Girl was nominated and ultimately won the Academy Award for Best Actress.
The thrill of this moment keeps me from saying what I really feel. I can only say thank you with all my heart to all who made this possible for me. Thank you.
Grace Kelly, Academy Award winner for this, her greatest performance as Georgie Elgin, the country girl.
And I might forgive even you, Mr. Dodd, if you can keep him up long enough for me to get out from under. All I want is my own name and a modest job to buy sugar for my coffee.
Will you listen
You
to me?
can't believe that, can you? You can't believe that a woman is crazy out of her mind to live alone in one room by herself.
She had many award nominations, including in 1956 when she won the Golden Globe's Henrietta Award for World Film Favourites. Even after Kelly's success, it never quite brought her father around. After winning her Oscar, her father supposedly said he thought her older sister Peggy would succeed. Kelly remained in the public eye for most of her life and firmly caught in the media's attention, of which she remarked with typical humour and grace. The freedom of the press works in such a way that there is not much freedom from it. Kelly was one of the highest paid and most respected actresses in the world at this point in her career. In the spring of 1955, Kelly was asked to join the United States Delegation Committee at the Cannes Film Festival in France. While on the train to France, Kelly met Olivia de Havilland and her newlywed husband, Pierre Galland, an editor at Paris Match magazine. They immediately suggested introducing Kelly with a young Prince of Monaco. She immediately agreed, but made the highly professional proviso that such a meeting must first be approved of by the studio sponsoring her visit to Cannes. Although this meeting didn't go as smoothly as intended, with issues of timing for the meeting and labour strikes shutting down the city's electricity. When she finally arrived at the palace, the delay caused her to miss the prince, so instead, Kelly was given a tour of the palace without him. Thankfully, the prince arrived before Kelly had to leave, and Prince Rainier III of Monaco decided to give her a tour of his gardens. The two walked ahead of their entourages, chatting with one another in his garden, while Paris March documented the meeting in photographs. Prince Rainier was seeking a bride at the time. After this brief encounter, he had his heart set on this American actress. While both Rainier and Kelly were already under such a microscope because of their public personalities, the instant attraction between them was undeniable. The prince once described his perfect bride, with long hair floating in the wind, the colour of autumn leaves. Her eyes are blue or violet, with flecks of gold. They struck up a courtship, and even after Kelly returned to the United States, she and Rainier would correspond continuously. Luckily, they didn't have to deal with long distance for long. Rainier had a diplomatic tour that brought him to the US, where he met with Kelly and her family. 3 days later, he proposed. The press glamorized their courtship, depicting it as a true fairy tale romance.
Getting married is a very big step for any girl, and of course, I have a great many feelings about that, and it's a very exciting thing, and I'm very, very happy. Of course, I'm a little sad to be leaving home, but I hope to be back quite often.
But things aren't so simple when you're marrying a prince. Before Kelly was allowed to marry Prince Rainier, her family had to seal the deal by paying a dowry. Although her family were unhappy with this tradition, half of the money came out of the inheritance that Kelly should have received when her parents eventually passed. Kelly paid the other half of the $2 million herself. Kelly had a couple of other things to do before she could join the royal family of Monaco. The first being that she had to renounce her American citizenship. The second was that Kelly had to take a fertility test.
Would you repeat for us the status of your citizenship now that you're going to Monaco?
Oh, when I'm married, I will have a dual citizenship. On marrying His Highness, I will become monegasque, but I will also retain my American citizenship.
Does that go for your children, too?
I don't know about that as yet.
The royal family needed to be sure that she could give the prince an heir. If he didn't produce an heir, Monaco would become part of France.
The more unfortunate members of the press won't have an opportunity to go to Monaco for your wedding. Will we have an opportunity to see your gown before you sail?
No, I think what we're planning to do is release a sketch of my gown the day of the wedding.
At the Pantages Theater in Hollywood, a celebrity-studded crowd gathers for the 28th Academy Awards ceremonies. Past Oscar winners such as Frank Sinatra, and promising young starlets and industry leaders. And contenders for awards, among them James Cagney, gather for Hollywood's own recognition of its finest achievements of the year. Ernest Borgnine is named Best Actor of the Year, receiving his Oscar from Grace Kelly in what may be her last Hollywood appearance. A moment of double significance for the audience. Prince Rainier's yacht bears his betrothed in triumph into the harbor at Monaco. A few hours earlier, Grace Kelly of Philadelphia and Hollywood stepped aboard the Deo Gigante from the liner Constitution, which carried her across the Atlantic. A picture queen who will become a princess greets her new subjects and is greeted by them in turn. as she goes ashore to a tumultuous welcome. The little postcard principality wears its heart on its sleeve, its feelings expressed by two small monegasques offering flowers. From far or near, all eyes are on this old world city and its bachelor prince, who wooed and won him a leap year bride in the new world. Through streets decked with American and Monacan flags, he whisks her off to his pink and white castle on the eve of the wedding of the year.
After marrying Prince Rainier on April the 19th, 1956, in a very public and ornate ceremony, Kelly became Her Serene Highness, Princess Grace of Monaco. The wedding between Kelly and Prince Rainier was a grand affair, to say the least, and the people of Monaco were ecstatic. Thousands of them lined the streets to greet their new 26-year-old princess following the nuptials, a precious memory no one would forget. The Napoleonic Code of Monaco and the laws of the Catholic Church necessitated two ceremonies, both a civil ceremony and a religious wedding. Kelly's wedding gown was designed by Helen Rose, who had dressed her in high society and the Swan. It was the most expensive dress that Rose had ever made.
Voulez-vous prendre pour légitime épouse Grâce Patricia, ici présente, selon le rite de notre mère, la Sainte Église. Grâce Patricia, voulez-vous prendre pour légitime époux Rainier, Louis, Henri, Maxence, Bertrand, ici présent, selon le rite de notre mère, la Sainte Église. Ego conjugum vos in matrimonium, in nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
The dress consisted of a rounded collar, a full skirt of smooth, finely ribbed ivory satin, and a fitted bodice made from Brussels lace, embroidered with seed pearls. The lace was over a century old and had flower designs in it. 25 yards of silk taffeta and 100 yards of silk net were used in the construction of the dress. Her dress went on to inspire the wedding dress choices of thousands of women after her, including Kate Middleton, whose 2011 Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen gown bore a close resemblance.
Worldwide interest, the old world and the new were joined in a union which Monegasques hoped would found a new dynasty for the principality.
The wedding was called the Wedding of the Century and is still considered one of the most beautiful weddings ever. In her last feature film before her marriage, High Society, her character is seen wearing a large ring in the film. The ring just happened to be Kelly's real-life engagement ring from Prince Rainier. Set on a platinum band, the emerald-cut diamond was 10.47 carats. Kelly abandoned her acting career in order to become Princess Consort of Monaco. However, before Kelly wed Rainier, another starlet had her eye on the handsome royal. Marilyn Monroe heard that the royal was searching for a bride. Though Monroe wasn't seriously interested in pursuing him, she felt confident she would be able to entice the prince. Of course, in the end, Rainier ended up meeting and marrying Kelly. Monroe wasn't at all put out by not landing the royal. On the day of the royal wedding, Monroe sent Kelly a heartbreaking telegram. It simply read, "I'm so happy you found a way out of this business." Sadly, both Monroe and Kelly had struggled with the pressures of Hollywood. Director Alfred Hitchcock, who had become one of Kelly's mentors during the last years of her career, hoped that Kelly would appear in more of his films, which required an icy blonde lead actress. But even he was unable to coax her out of retirement. Allegedly, Hitchcock planned to use 1962's Marnie as Kelly's big comeback to the silver screen, and the princess agreed to take part. In March 1962, Monaco's palace spokesman announced that Princess Grace would play the role, then give up acting altogether. The citizens of Monaco were not so keen on having their princess return to the movies. The local press blasted the idea of Kelly making a screen comeback, and France's President Charles de Gaulle supposedly pressured Prince Rainier to put his wife out of the production for fear it would make Monaco appear frivolous.
The matador tosses his hat to the loveliest lady in the arena.
In April, Kelly announced that she was withdrawing from the production, ostensibly due to scheduling difficulties. However, she did lend her narration to a couple of documentary films and gave some occasional poetry readings. In addition, in 1976, she joined the 20th Century Fox Film Corporation Board, becoming one of its first female members. Following the end of her film career, Kelly performed her daily duties as royal princess and became involved in philanthropic work. As princess consort, she became the patron of the Red Cross of Monaco and the charity Rainbow Coalition Children. Kelly founded Amad Mondial, which is a non-profit organization that focuses on children and is still active today, with Kelly's daughter Caroline now at the head as president.
Prendre part au cortège. L'inhumation aura lieu en présence de la famille et des intimes. Ensuite, l'assistance sera admise à pénétrer dans
UNESCO describes the organization as protecting the moral, physical, and spiritual well-being of children the world over, without the influence of things like race, religion, or nationality. Kelly loved flowers, a passion whose roots began in her hometown of Philadelphia and bloomed throughout her life. Kelly was an established expert on flowers and conducted classes on floral arrangement. In 1968, her love of flowers led her to establish the Garden Club of Monaco. She once said, "To have complete satisfaction from flowers, you must have time to spend with them. I talk to them, and they talk to me." Since retiring as an actress, Kelly exercised her creativity with her growing interest in creating pressed flower collages. Her knowledge of flowers soon evolved, and she was soon designing and making pressed flower arrangements. Some of her collages were exhibited at the Galerie d'Ormont in Paris in 1977 and 1980, and a few of her designs were featured on Monaco's postage stamps during the 1970s. In 1980, she co-wrote My Book of Flowers, where she shared her simple techniques for flower pressing and her love of flowers. The royal couple had 3 children. Their firstborn, Princess Caroline, their next child and heir to the throne, Prince Albert, and the youngest child, Princess Stephanie.
Going all out to herald the arrival of Princess Caroline, firstborn of Prince Rainier and his American princess. Cold wars and international politics were forgotten in a day of celebration and thanksgiving. Flowers for the world's newest princess, whose proud father signed the official register of her birth, and then, still shaky from the ordeal of becoming a parent, took his own movies for posterity. The pictures were out of focus, but Monaco could forgive a nervous father. It was too busy drinking a toast to the newcomer up on the hill.
When Kelly was pregnant with her daughter Caroline, she often covered her belly with her purse so that the paparazzi couldn't snap photos. The luxurious company who made the bag, Hermes, wound up renaming the princess's tote in her honor. It's now known as the famous and highly coveted Kelly bag.
Of Prince Rainier and former movie star Grace Kelly.
It is rumoured that she received some 200,000 orchids from all around the world at the birth of her son, Albert.
4 hours later, Princess Grace arrives with Prince Albert. Family is leaving immediately for Philadelphia, Grace's old hometown, where they will open a travel exhibit and dedicate a theater at Ravenhill Academy in memory of her father. Though a titled princess, Her Highness says she remains a Philadelphia girl at heart.
Kelly loved her children, but they often felt distance from her. Princess Caroline has candidly stated that their nanny, Maureen Wood, was the key figure in her and her brother Prince Albert's childhood.
Plays host to royalty. Is Prince Rainier and Princess Grace of Monaco reside during Monegasque National Day. Their state visitor Caroline 10 and 9-year-old Albert accompany the royal couple at the international
A domestic bombshell which gave fuel to the Monegasque rumor factory was the announcement that Princess Grace was
Despite
to become a
this,
film actress once
Prince
again.
Albert told Vanity Fair that Kelly did truly care for her children, calling her a loving and caring hands-on mom. He also spoke about his admiration for his mother, saying that moving to Monaco and living as one of the royals must have been hard for her at first, but he never heard her complain.
She had that desire to help young artists, young emerging artists, and in the performing arts, and so that's exactly what we did. She didn't have time to set up the foundation in her lifetime. She was busy with other charities and other foundations.
Although Kelly gave up her acting career after becoming a royal, she didn't completely abandon the arts. Instead, she became a great patron of the arts in Monaco. The former actress brought arts and culture to Monaco while also quietly supporting countless American performing and film artists. Tragedy struck on September the 13th, 1982. Princess Grace and her youngest daughter Stephanie were driving along the steep cliffs of the Côte d'Azur region of southern France. Kelly suffered a stroke and lost control of the vehicle, which spun off the cliff's edge and plunged down a 45-foot embankment. Mother and daughter were rushed to hospital, where Princess Grace spent 24 hours in a coma before being taken off life support at the age of 52. The classic Hitchcock film To Catch a Thief features a famous scene in which Kelly's character Francis drives Cary Grant's John Roby around the French Riviera. When the film premiered, viewers celebrated the scene for its tension and beauty. But after Kelly's tragic death, the sequence took on an entirely different meaning.
Cary Grant and this year's Academy Award winner Grace Kelly, two exciting personalities who were made for each other. And now Alfred Hitchcock brings them into very close contact in this perfect tale of romantic intrigue, filmed on the beautiful French Riviera.
Viewers could watch Kelly zip around the same area, where she would later perish in a horrific car crash. To make matters worse, it turned out that Kelly had to perform her own stunt driving during filming, even though she was very uncomfortable with traversing the dangerous roads. On September the 18th, 1982, heads of state, celebrities, royals, an estimated 26,000 people, and close to 100 million television viewers paid their respects to Kelly on the day of her funeral. Among those who attended were Cary Grant, Nancy Reagan, and Princess Diana. The final resting place of Her Serene Highness is the same cathedral in which she had her fairy tale wedding in 1956. The cathedral's steps were covered in flowers, and its bell tolled slowly. The coffin was placed outside the cathedral, and as some of the 800 mourners took their seats inside, the prince and his children stood next to the coffin, their grief stark in the sunlight. Kelly was buried in the royal family's vault following the funeral, which featured a eulogy by fellow actor James Stewart. I just love Grace Kelly, not because she was a princess, not because she was an actress, not because she was my friend, but because she was just about the nicest lady I ever met. Roses were Kelly's favourite flower, and in 1984, to honour her, Prince Rainier inaugurated a public rose garden dedicated to her memory. Located in Fontvieilly in the Principality of Monaco, the Princess Grace Rose Garden is situated on a gentle slope next to Fontvieilly Park on the French Riviera. The fragrant garden is home to more than 4,000 roses. After Grace Kelly died, Prince Rainier never recovered from the loss of his wife. He never remarried, and when he passed away in 2005, he was buried alongside her. In 2012, Kelly's childhood home was made a Pennsylvania historic landmark, and a historical marker was placed on the site. The house located in Philadelphia was built by her father, and Prince Rainier proposed to her there in 1955. The property was sold in 1974 until her son Prince Albert purchased the property to be used for the Princess Grace Foundation. Monaco continues to honour the princess through ballets in her memory, libraries named after her, as well as hotels establishing suites inspired by her life and likeness.
She says, and Leanne Merriweather is actress Grace Kelly and March of Dimes poster girl Mary Kozlowski.
Kelly also appeared on a US stage stamp in 1993, which was released in conjunction with a Monaco postage stamp featuring her image on the same day.
Prendre part au cortège. L'inhumation aura lieu en présence de la famille et des intimes. Ensuite, l'assistance sera admise à pénétrer dans le cimetière.
Actor of the Year Award.
Leaving a lasting legacy as a theatre artist, television actress, and iconic Hollywood film star. Her fairy tale wedding would inspire brides for decades to come. Precious memories as the Hollywood starlet who became Monaco's beloved princess. Her on-screen beauty, self-confidence and mystery enchanted the world, and her serenity and poise as a princess defined Grace.
I'll try.
She will be forever remembered for her contribution to the world of cinema and her unrelenting charitable efforts. Often cited as one of the classic Hitchcock blondes and one of the most elegant women in cinematic and world history.
I think I was on my way to becoming a good actress. I felt as though I was just beginning to glimpse into what it was all about when I stopped.
After all these years, it seems like one of her wishes has been granted by history. I would like to be remembered as someone who accomplished useful deeds and who was a kind and loving person. I would like to leave the memory of a human being with a correct attitude and who did her best to help others. Princess Grace. Grace Kelly, Precious Memories.
The thrill of this moment keeps me from saying what I really feel. I can only say thank you with all my heart to all who made this possible for me. Thank you.